Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame community. I'm Pierre. He's Chris. We're here to continue our countdown of the top 12 wide receivers for fantasy football heading into 2022. We already talked about number 1 through 6, and now let's start with number 7. We're going to break down our rankings right now and talk about why we have these guys in the order we do. So, number 7, Chris, go ahead and start off.
I'm not going to lie, it was tough for me to rank these guys here because none of these wide receivers feel like great sure things, but I went with CeeDee Lamb at number 7. I know he had a rough time down the stretch last year, but I think it's going to be better this year. Michael Gallup was re-signed, may not be ready to go week 1, but he'll be ready at some point. They brought in James Washington. They drafted an outside wide receiver. I think we're going to see more CeeDee Lamb in the slot, which is very good for CeeDee Lamb and for his fantasy value. We know he's tied to Dak Prescott on the Cowboys. He's going to be the number 1 target there by far. So, again, don't feel great about any of these guys here as far as where to rank them. But CD to me feels like he has the most upside out of this bunch, so I have him at 7.
Yeah, so we've had this discussion. Those of you in the Discord already know. If you haven't, guys, you can check it out. We talk about these issues like CeeDee Lamb playing in the slot versus outside, how often he saw press coverage as a rookie as opposed to his second season, how he handled that. He probably had an easier time than we think when he was a rookie. And then last year felt a little bit more of a pressure. Now, this year, I know the thing is he's got to get a jump in target share. We know that's going to happen with Amari Cooper gone. Gallup, like I said, maybe not ready. Lamb is going to get targeted a ton, but how will he respond? Now he's going to be covered by the top corner of the other team. I kind of like this situation in general for fantasy, but I'm a little bit cautious, so I can't quite put him that high. I do have him actually a couple spots lower. So right now at number 7, a guy, honestly, I thought you might have higher than me because you've talked about him already this offseason. That's Mike Evans. It's hard for me to find a guy who has been more consistent, more reliable, in a better situation. I mean, you really can't do better than catching passes from the best quarterback of all time. So the fact also is that Chris Godwin, I don't think he's going to be ready for the start of the season. We just heard that there's no timetable necessarily for his return, which doesn't necessarily mean anything good or bad, but they haven't put out there like, yeah, he'll be ready for week 1. Look, he's coming off an ACL surgery. He was injured late in the season. It's not a sure thing that he'll be ready to go early on. So Mike Evans could see his target share go up. If Gronk retires, that's just another reason to feel confident about him. He's a guy who, like I said, has always been there, kind of been undervalued in one sense. So Mike Evans, to me, I can't really find a receiver who I feel better about. So that's why I have him that high. All right, now let's go to number 8. And this looks like a good place for you to have maybe Mike Evans.
Yeah, so I have him here, and I could definitely flip him and CeeDee Lamb. I feel much safer about Mike Evans for all the reasons you mentioned. Chris Godwin, not going to be ready week 1, I'm sorry. Probably might not even be ready until midseason or later. Gronk, we don't know what his status is going to be. So Mike Evans should get a monster target share, and we already know he's really, really good. So maybe I should have him ahead of CeeDee Lamb. I just think CeeDee Lamb's upside's a little bit more, and maybe that's even incorrect. Maybe Evans even has more of an upside than CeeDee Lamb. So I have him at 8. Maybe he should be at 7, but I've got him at 8.
Yeah, truthfully, we do more than one fantasy league each year. We do a lot of drafts, and so probably there'll be some situations where you're there on the clock and both guys are available. Maybe half the time you'll pick Evans, half the time you'll pick Lamb. You don't want to go 100% right invested into one guy. So it's really splitting hairs here. Let me talk about another, I think, undervalued veteran. I know not the shiny new toy here. We love the young receivers, but Keenan Allen, I don't think you can keep him much lower. A lot of people, for some reason that I still don't really know, I don't think anybody's really explained it to me, think we'll take a step back this year. I don't know why. Justin Herbert is just getting better. They didn't really do anything other than to keep Mike Williams, who is still the same Mike Williams. There's nothing really changing about this offense, which is one of the best offenses in the league. Keenan Allen, one of the leaders in receptions last year. So maybe Mike Williams gets more yards because he makes more chunk plays down the field. Maybe gets more red zone targets. But at the end of the day, Keenan Allen's going to have one of the highest PPR point totals in all of fantasy, and I can't think of a guy who has a higher floor other than maybe Mike Evans. So I got him number 8, and looks like you pretty much agree with me. You got him right after Evans too.
Yeah, I got him at number 9. Like you said, super high floor here. My issue with Keenan Allen is just not much of a ceiling. He only had 3 20-point PPR games, and one of those was like just under 20 points, and I think his highest game was only at 21 fantasy points, which is fine, but it just doesn't have that huge ceiling. But like you said, has a very high floor, especially in PPR leagues. So like the ceiling of Lamb and Evans better, but definitely safe and have him at number 9.
Yeah, I mean, I get that the ceiling is always more valuable in a weekly league because it gets you those, potential week-winning performances. But sometimes it's nice just to have that safety there. All right, now talk about ceiling, Tyreek Hill. I know everyone's down on him that he's not in KC. Look, this is not a Dolphins fan take. This is just the reality that you cannot put Tyreek Hill much lower because regardless of what you think of Tua, which is probably unfair, but whatever you think of him, look, he's going to get Tyreek Hill the ball a lot. Hill is going to be working the offense in different ways. He's going to see a lot of screen passes, a lot of shorter passes where he can move. This Mike McDaniel is the head coach coming from San Francisco, the passing game coordinator. A lot of things he did with Deebo Samuel, a lot of different receivers there. They're going to get him the ball a lot. He might even see as many, if not more, targets than he saw with Mahomes and the Chiefs. Will he have the same yard per reception? No, definitely not. Will he hit on as many deep balls? No, of course not. Nobody has Pat Mahomes' arm. But I think his fantasy value is not that much lower. So this is going to come off, like I said, maybe a little biased, but still, I think people are going to undervalue Tyreek Hill this year. There's plenty of targets to go around between Hill and Waddle. All right, I know you're a little down on Hill. Who you have then at number 9?
Well, at number 10, I have a receiver who also switched teams this year, and that's A.J. Brown going to the Eagles. Now, when A.J. Brown was on the Titans, he was a top 5 receiver for me, but now I got him down at 10. Look, Jalen Hurts is my boy. Jalen Hurts, was much better last year than people thought, but he's still a liability when it comes to the passing game and when it comes to fantasy wide receivers. So the nice thing for A.J. Brown, though, is he's not a guy who needs 150, 200 targets because he's a yard after catch monster. He's a broken tackle monster. He's just a monster, right? You get the ball in his hands and you let him do his thing. And I think the Eagles, they traded it up for him. They signed him to a big extension. They're going to use him. He's going to be the one there. So sure, his stock takes a little hit with Jalen Hurts versus Ryan Tannehill, but I think the player is good enough to overcome that. Still will be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver next year.
Absolutely. So look, I have Lamb at 10. Feel good about him. Kind of already discussed what I think about Lamb. I got A.J. Brown number 11. I don't think you can really put him too much lower. I might actually like him a little bit better in Philly's offense than in Tennessee's offense just because they want to try to make an effort to get that passing game going. Tennessee is going to be ground and pound no matter what. So I like A.J. Brown where he's at. Agree with you there. Now, number 11, you got somebody different.
Yeah, well, we have Chase at 3. We talked about why. Well, I talked about why I don't have a number 1 or 2, and it's because of this guy, T. Higgins at number 11, who, by the way, he didn't go off in week 17, but he went off in week 16. And if you had T. Higgins, he got you to the championship game with that monster week. And remember, early in the season, T. Higgins, in fact, if you look at the games that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase played last season, T. Higgins actually had a higher target share than Jamar Chase. Now, Jamar Chase was, hitting home runs and taking, 50, 60-yard passes to the house. But T. Higgins is going to get his share of volume. He's in a great offense. Joe Burrow, we know they're super efficient, a lot of chances to score touchdowns. And when you look at these other receivers behind them, just none of them really stand out. So it feels like number 11 might be high for T. Higgins, but when you look at the other guys, there's no one I really like more. So I got Higgins at 11.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm a little too worried. Obviously, we've seen wearing a sling. He had off-season shoulder surgery. If he's all fine, good to go by training camp, and that's not an issue whatsoever week 1, I might be a little too low on him. everything you said is true. Everyone now is all about Chase, forgetting that T. Higgins was there first. He's also just as good of a receiver in terms of ability to go up. He's a bigger target, good red zone target. This offense can support 2 high-end receivers, obviously, so I might slide him up a little bit higher throughout the offseason, but we'll see. Now, number 12, I'm going to go with a guy that I think is also being underrated. It's kind of a theme here. The veteran receivers who are being overlooked. Amari Cooper is going to Cleveland. If Deshaun Watson gets suspended for 4 to 6 games, I might have to put him down just a little bit. Obviously, that's going to take a hit for him if he's catching passes from Jacoby Brissett. But as of right now, assuming all things are equal, Amari Cooper, I think, should be ranked higher than he was in Dallas, because who else are they throwing to in Cleveland? They brought him for a reason. They needed an alpha receiver, and they got one. Odell Beckham, of course, being gone. Jarvis Landry, not back because now he's a Saint. Amari Cooper is getting an upgrade at quarterback. Don't hate on me, Cowboy fans. He's going to be getting a higher target share, and we know what he can do when he gets the ball in his hands. He can hit that home run. He has that deep ball ability, and I think he's going to be utilized the right way. So, look, Amari Cooper, I know people are going to be a little wary. This is the time to take advantage if people have him outside the top 15. I have him higher. Always willing to slide him down if things change in the offseason. But right now, for a team that doesn't really have a lot of depth at receiver, I love getting him at number 12. All right, let's close it out. Now, who do you got as your number 12 wide receiver?
Well, now I got your new guy, Tyreek Hill, here at 12. I think people are too high on Tyreek Hill. I think people are drafting Tyreek Hill, the name, versus Tyreek Hill, the 2022 fantasy player, right? Look, he wasn't a huge target guy in KC, but he got enough targets, enough volume. I don't think it's going to be there in Miami. They have Jalen Waddle, who we know it was very good last year. Now, Tyreek Hill is better, and Tyreek Hill is going to get more targets. But they were one of the highest passing teams in neutral situations, meaning when the game was close. Why? Because they had no offensive line and they had no running backs. They literally could not run the ball last year. They brought in Mike McDaniel. They've signed like 10,000 running backs. They've improved the offensive line. No, they're not going to, run as much as San Francisco did, but they're going to run way more. And I just don't think the opportunity is going to be there for Tyreek Hill to support him as a top 10, top 6, top 5 fantasy wide receiver anymore. But people still think he is just because he's Tyreek Hill. Look, I love Tua. I think Tua is very good, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. He just isn't. He's not going to have the volume here, I don't think, or the touchdown upside to support a top 10 fantasy season. I think 12 is okay because, again, when I look at these other wide receivers, there's not really a lot of guys that I feel great about in this range. So I got him at 12. I could see him busting even worse than that, though, to be honest, but 12 seems fair.
Well, I hope you're wrong and he finishes as a top 5 receiver selfishly. But I don't blame you for not wanting to overpay for his name value, so I totally get that. Look, it was hard for me not to put Jalen Waddle in my top 12, so I think I get props for that at least. All right, guys, those are our top 12 rankings at wide receiver. Check out the running back version of this as well. If you want to check out what we did for number 1 through 6, that's another video. Of course, stay with us all off season long. We're going to be here to break down our rankings and more, help you win on fantasy draft day. All right, thanks for watching.